Good morning, everyone. Let me ask you a question. What if I told you that just 1 hour a day could change everything? Not your job, not your bank account, you. We live in a world where 24 hours never feel like enough. But the truth is, you don't need more time, you need more direction. 1 hour, 60 minutes. That's all you need to start a revolution in your own life. Most people waste it on scrolling, on gossip, on things that won't matter tomorrow. But the successful, they spend it building something inside themselves. 1 hour a day to read, to think, to practice, to plan, to become better. You don't need to quit your job. You don't need to wait for the perfect time. That hour, early in the morning, late at night, during your lunch break, that hour is your secret weapon. You see, the difference between the person you are today and the person you want to become is what you do in that 1 hour. If you spend that hour every day learning in 1 year, you will be ahead of 95% of the world. If you spend it building your body, your mind, your relationships, in 5 years, you will not recognize your old life, but you must protect it like it's sacred, because it is. People will say they don't have time. That's a lie. You make time for what you value. If your future isn't worth 1 hour a day, then you're not serious about your future. Greatness doesn't come from talent. It comes from effort. Daily, deliberate, focused effort. 1 hour of it, that's the price. So I challenge you, start today. 1 hour, just for you. Not for your boss, not for your family, not for your followers, for the person you're becoming. Because if you don't build your dream, someone will hire you to build theirs. 1 hour a day can change your life, and one day you'll look back and realize it already did. The world tends to celebrate the big wins, the overnight successes, the breakthrough ideas, the stories that make headlines. But what the world often forgets is that behind every great achievement, there's a quiet, consistent rhythm of small decisions made daily. These are not grand gestures. These are not once-in-a-lifetime events. These are habits, small ones, repeated, sustained, honored, even when no one is watching. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is rarely intelligence, luck, or connections. It's discipline, it's routine, it's the small, almost invisible actions repeated over and over again. 1 hour a day spent deliberately reading a book, learning a skill, writing thoughts, practicing something uncomfortable might not seem like much today, but done every day, it becomes a force greater than talent or timing. Think about a drop of water. On its own, it seems weak, but given time, persistence, and direction, it can carve through stone. That's what small habits do to the obstacles in your life. They don't burst through them. They erode them slowly, quietly, and with unshakable consistency. It's easy to underestimate the power of small actions because the results aren't immediate. You go to the gym once and nothing changes. You read 10 pages of a book and your knowledge doesn't explode. You sit down to meditate for 5 minutes and your mind still feels restless, so you're tempted to stop. That's the trap. Most people quit because they expect to see the fruit of their labor too soon, but the real power lies in patience. The real transformation happens invisibly at first. The beauty of small habits is they require no permission, no money, and no miracle. Anyone, anywhere, in any circumstance can begin. You don't need to take a week off. You don't need to change your job or move cities. All you need is 1 hour and the will to start. When you commit to one small act every day, no matter how busy or tired you are, you send a powerful message to yourself that your growth matters, that your goals matter, that you matter. Let's say you decide to spend 1 hour each day learning a new language. At first, it feels awkward. You fumble through phrases. You forget words, but you keep showing up. 30 days later, you're better. 90 days later, you're having basic conversations. A year later, you're fluent. People will say, wow, you're talented, but it wasn't talent. It was 1 hour every day without fail. Now imagine applying this same principle to any area of life. Your health, your finances, your mindset, your relationships, your career. Small intentional habits create leverage. They give you an edge. They set you apart not because you did something amazing once, but because you did something useful consistently. And here's something most people miss. Small habits aren't just about improvement. They're about identity. When you write every day, you're not just improving your writing, you're becoming a writer. When you show up to train daily, you're not just getting fit, you're becoming an athlete. That identity shift is powerful. It reinforces the habit, it gives it meaning, it turns discipline into desire. Big changes often feel overwhelming. That's why people delay action. But when you realize that success is nothing more than a series of small habits stacked together, everything becomes possible. You don't need to see the top of the mountain. You just need to take the next step. One more hour, one more page, one more repetition. There is a hidden force behind every great achievement, and it's not luck, talent, or even timing. It's consistency. It's the decision to show up over and over again, no matter how you feel, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter how invisible the results may seem at first. Consistency is not glamorous. It doesn't attract applause. It's not exciting, but it is the foundation on which every lasting success is built. The truth is, most people don't fail because they lack potential. They fail because they lack persistence. They try something for a week or a month, and when they don't see the outcome they hope for, they move on to something else. They're looking for the spark, not the system. They want fireworks, but success doesn't look like an explosion. It looks like a slow burn, a process, a rhythm, a repetition that gradually shapes the ordinary into something extraordinary. When you do something consistently, whether it's learning, building, practicing, or refining, you create momentum, and momentum is powerful. It multiplies your effort, it creates flow, it turns a scattered life into a focused one, but the only way to get there is to push through the moments when it feels pointless, the moments when progress is invisible, the moments when the motivation fades, because motivation comes and goes, but consistency is a decision. It's a habit, not a feeling. People often overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. That's the paradox of progress. We want results fast, but the most meaningful growth comes slow. It comes from daily actions that don't look impressive on the surface, but stack up over time into something unstoppable. Writing 1 page a day doesn't sound like much, but it's a book in a year. Saving a small amount daily may feel insignificant, but it's a safety net in the future. Practicing for just 1 hour every day might not feel life-changing at first, but after 365 hours, it becomes a skill set, a mindset, a career shift, a transformation. What separates the people who reach their goals from the ones who don't is not how hard they work once. It's how steadily they work always. Showing up once is easy. Showing up when it's hard, when it's boring, when it's inconvenient, that's where the power lies. Because every time you keep going when it's easier to quit, you build something far more important than results. You build character, you build resilience, you build trust with yourself. Consistency also creates clarity. When you commit to a path, you begin to learn what works and what doesn't. You don't just move forward, you move forward with insight. You get sharper, smarter, more focused. The daily grind becomes a feedback loop, and with each loop, you improve not only the output, but the way you think, plan, and act. It's no longer about trial and error, it becomes about precision. There's something else consistency gives you: credibility, not just with others, but with yourself. When you keep promises to yourself day after day, hour after hour, you begin to believe in your own discipline. You trust your own commitment. You no longer need to rely on hype or external validation. You become your own source of drive. And that kind of inner power can't be bought, borrowed, or faked. It's earned through the quiet commitment to doing the work again and again. The world is full of people who start, but very few people keep going. Very few people are willing to grind in the shadows, to improve in silence, to get a little better each day with no fanfare, no audience, and no instant reward. But that's where the difference is made. That's where confidence is built. That's where success is born. In a world that's changing faster than ever before, the most valuable asset you can own isn't a degree, a title, or even a bank balance. It's your ability to learn, not just once, not just in school, but continuously, relentlessly, with curiosity and intention, because the people who win in the long run are not the ones who know everything. They're the ones who keep learning, adapting, and growing no matter what. Every skill you gain, every concept you understand, every perspective you expand, these are things no one can take away from you. They don't lose value over time, they don't rust, they don't expire, and they don't disappear when the market crashes. When you invest in learning, you invest in something that appreciates. It multiplies, it compounds. One idea today can turn into a business tomorrow. One insight can unlock an entire new direction for your career or life. And the best part? Learning is more accessible now than at any time in human history. With one device in your hand, you have access to more knowledge than the richest kings had 100 years ago. You can learn a language, master a skill, take a course, read the world's best books, all without leaving your home. The gatekeepers are gone. The only question is, are you willing to use what's available? While others are scrolling endlessly through distractions, those who treat learning as a daily discipline are quietly building a future. They're not waiting for opportunity to knock. They're preparing to recognize it, shape it, and take it. And that preparation doesn't start with money or resources. It starts with one simple commitment: to grow a little every day. To spend just 1 hour a day feeding your mind instead of entertaining it, to replace passive consumption with active development. There's a reason why the most successful people in the world, across industries, cultures, and generations, all share one thing in common. They are lifelong learners. They read, they ask questions, they seek feedback, they explore new fields. They understand that knowledge is leverage. The more you know, the more you can see. The more you see, the better decisions you make, and better decisions lead to better results. But learning isn't just about information. It's also about transformation. It changes how you think, how you solve problems, how you relate to others, how you manage your time, your energy, your emotions. It gives you tools, not just technical ones, but mental ones. You start to approach challenges differently. You start to connect ideas that others miss. You begin to operate on a higher level, not because you're smarter, but because you've trained your mind to work harder, faster, and more creatively. Many people spend years trying to earn more money or climb higher in their career, but they forget that the real engine behind all of that is their ability to learn new things. If you want to earn more, you have to become more. If you want to stay relevant, you have to keep evolving, and the only way to evolve is through learning. Not learning once, but learning always. This is not about formal education. It's not about certificates or grades. It's about self-education, the kind that happens after hours outside the classroom when no one's watching, the kind that comes from reading books most people ignore, watching lectures instead of mindless content, practicing skills when others are relaxing. That kind of learning builds quiet power. It's not always visible, but it's always valuable. Learning sharpens your vision. It makes you proactive, not reactive. It prepares you for the world not as it is, but as it's becoming. Because the truth is, industries will change, technologies will shift, jobs will disappear. But if you're learning every day, you won't fear change. You'll be ready for it. Most people wait. They wait for the opportunity, the crisis, the deadline, the external pressure that forces them to act. They wait until the storm arrives before they start preparing. But by the time the pressure is on, it's often too late to learn, too late to build, too late to catch up. The people who thrive in uncertain times, who rise when others fall, who move when others freeze, these are the people who build before they need to. Preparation is invisible. It doesn't bring recognition. It doesn't create immediate reward. But it's the most strategic move you can make. When you invest time daily in building your skills, your network, your ideas, your discipline, you're not just improving your present, you're protecting your future. You're creating options before life forces you to choose without them. Imagine someone who spends 1 hour a day learning how to code, not because they have a tech job, but because they see where the world is heading. A year later, their company automates their department, but they're ready. They don't panic. They pivot because they built the skill before they needed it. Or someone who starts saving a small percentage of their income every month, not because there's a crisis now, but because one day there might be. And when the crisis comes, they're not asking for help. They're offering it. The problem is, The value of preparation only becomes obvious when it's too late to do it. We don't see the importance of building until the ground beneath us begins to shake. That's why most people live reactively. They only take action when they're forced to. They only think long term when they run out of short term solutions. But the ones who succeed consistently aren't reacting. They're anticipating. They're not hoping everything works out. They're preparing for every outcome, especially the ones nobody else sees coming. Building before you need it means learning skills before your current ones become outdated. It means making connections before you need a favor. It means working on your mindset before life tests your patience, your courage, your resilience. It's not about paranoia, it's about vision, seeing around corners, thinking 5 moves ahead, playing the long game in a world obsessed with short wins. It's easy to fall into the trap of comfort. If everything's working today, why worry about tomorrow? That's how people get blindsided. That's how businesses collapse. That's how individuals stay stuck, because they wait for life to change their circumstances instead of using today to shape their own future. Building before you need it requires discipline. It means sacrificing comfort now for strength later. It means doing the hard things when no one is watching. But it also means being ready when everyone else is scrambling. You don't wait until your house is on fire to learn where the exits are. You don't wait until you're out of money to start thinking about financial literacy. You don't wait until your relationship is broken to learn how to communicate. You don't wait until your health declines to take care of your body. These things are too important to be handled in a panic. They deserve proactive attention, daily effort, consistent investment. When you build before you need it, you gain something rare: leverage. You're not stuck reacting to the world. You're in a position to influence it. You can choose. You can pivot. You can lead. You're not waiting for opportunity. You're creating it. You're not hoping for good luck. You're preparing for every possibility, good or bad. And that kind of preparation creates confidence, not arrogance, but quiet. Earned confidence. The kind that comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you've been building, you've been learning, you've been growing. You've already done the work most people won't even start until it's too late. Every person begins with the same basic instinct: survival, the need to secure food, shelter, safety, and stability. It's natural, it's primal, and for many it becomes a lifelong pursuit. Wake up, work, pay bills, repeat. The routines become the reality. Life becomes a series of obligations, not opportunities. But survival is just the beginning of the journey. The real question is not how long you can survive, but when you'll choose to grow beyond it. When you'll shift your focus from simply getting through the day to building something that lasts, something that matters. That's the journey from survival to significance. Survival is reactive. It's driven by fear, urgency, and necessity. It keeps you stuck in the short term, always managing the crisis in front of you. Significance, on the other hand, is proactive. It's intentional. It's built on purpose, not pressure. It's about asking, what am I here to contribute, rather than how do I get by? This shift doesn't happen overnight. It starts with one decision: to use your time not just to exist, but to evolve. When someone decides to spend 1 hour a day learning, creating, thinking, or serving, not because they have to, but because they choose to, that's the beginning of the shift. That's when life stops being something you endure and starts becoming something you shape. It's the moment you realize that you were not born just to pay bills and survive storms. You were born to build, to lead, to grow, and to give. Significance isn't found in survival. It's created by those who decide to rise above it. The world doesn't need more people running on autopilot. It needs more people who are alive with intention. People who are not just trying to keep their heads above water, but who are reaching out to lift others as they climb. People who see beyond the daily grind and into the deeper meaning of their work, their words, their time. That kind of mindset doesn't wait for ideal conditions. It is forged in the middle of challenges, when someone says, there has to be more than this, and decides to do something about it. Significance doesn't come from chasing status or applause. It comes from impact, From knowing that because you were here, something improved, someone was encouraged, a problem was solved, a path was cleared. Sometimes that impact is public, sometimes it's private, but either way, it starts with the decision to stop living only for yourself and your survival, and to start building something that echoes beyond your own needs. Many people think they need to be rich, famous, or powerful to make a difference. That's not true. You just need to be consistent, focused, and willing to think beyond today. Every hour you invest in your growth is an hour you take back from the noise, the chaos, the fear. Every small habit of discipline, generosity, or courage moves you closer to a life that means something, not just to you, but to others. The shift from survival to significance is also a shift in mindset. Instead of asking, what do I need to get by? You begin to ask, what am I building that will outlast me? Instead of thinking in terms of expenses and stress, you start thinking in terms of value and legacy. That doesn't mean you ignore your struggles. It means you refuse to be defined by them. You use them, you rise through them, and you bring others with you. You may still have to survive. You may still have responsibilities, deadlines, and challenges. But in the middle of that, you begin to carve out space for something higher, a calling, a mission, a daily effort that aligns with who you are becoming, not just what the world demands of you. That's how the journey begins, from struggle to service, from pressure to purpose, from survival to significance. In a world full of distractions and noise, one focused hour a day can become your most powerful advantage. Whether it's learning a new skill, building your mindset, or preparing for the future, consistent daily effort compounds into transformation. The shift from survival to significance doesn't require giant leaps. It begins with intentional steps, repeated daily. 1 hour of growth, practiced with discipline, builds confidence, resilience, and opportunity. Your future isn't shaped by chance, it's shaped by choice. And choosing to invest just 1 hour a day in yourself can become the turning point that changes everything. The time is already yours. Use it wisely.